This is Jessica.
And this is Lewis.
We have a preschooler and a toddler. Our children are a different kind of perfect. This is a show about surviving parenthood throughout raising children with special needs, while keeping ourselves and our sanity intact. This is FUBAR, Surviving Parenthood with Special Needs Kids. Hey everyone, welcome to FUBAR, Surviving Parenthood with Special Needs Kids. This is your host, Jessica. I'm without Lewis today because I wanted to record a mini episode brought on by a negative experience that I had this morning. First, I wanted to share a couple of really cute stories that happened today. So we were at a friend's house for a play date, actually our first play date this past weekend, and they had a bidet. So my husband went and he showed Benji how to use a bidet. And today, Benji was rubbing his butt all around this table and saying, "This washes my butt when my pants make my butt itchy." So he thought the table was a bidet. He also was learning about trees from Lewis, and they were learning about pine trees and how they stay green throughout the winter. And Benji said, "Pine trees stay green all night." So it was really cute. He's still trying to learn the concept of like yesterday, today, just like time in general. So it was very cute. Today I want to talk about a huge problem facing many parents of children with special needs: finances to pay for medical expenses. I went to apply for medical assistance for Benji in order to obtain literally any services from the DDA, but we were denied. This was our last possible option to assist with financing the health care of our children. Look, I went to graduate school for 8 years, plus 2 years of residency, plus boards to get the job that I have and to help others, which is what I wanted to do. I was hoping to also create a good life for myself and my kids. I wanted to give everything I could to my kids. However, I never expected student loans to take over my life, and I certainly never expected both children to have special needs. I had no clue going in with kids that having kids with special needs would take up so much of my time, and I never could have imagined how much money it would cost. I had what I thought was good insurance, and it is. It covers the majority of what we do. Still, we have copays. And when you look at everything that we're doing, it adds up to almost $2,000 a month. ABA costs $1,000 a month, and therapies cost $960 a month, not including medications or my doctor's appointments for my chronic health conditions. This is with insurance. On top of that, and having outrageous student loan debt from 8 years of graduate school, we moved about a year ago for our jobs, so we had to spend money on the move. And I had a baby 3 months in after we moved. So since I was new, I wasn't eligible for FMLA and was still on new employee probation from my job. I only had a week of leave accrued. I had no short-term or long-term disability, and my baby had extra needs, so I needed to be off as long as I could in order to take care of him so he could survive. I took 10 weeks total, not even the max of FMLA were I eligible, but all but 1 week was unpaid. My husband works hourly and also needs to take off to help with appointments for our kids, so that cuts the money that we could make by a lot. And our children get sick a lot with respiratory issues, so they spend a lot of time home from school. We have tried everything to try to help cover expenses, but we aren't eligible for anything. I've scoured the internet for grants, but since I make too much, which still isn't enough to cover medical expenses for my children, I don't qualify for any of them. I was told to apply for SSDI for Benji, but since he's under 21, they have to look at our income, and since I make too much, we don't qualify. I applied to the DDA for services like LISS and respite and everything else, really anything else. In order to qualify for their services, you have to apply for and be approved for medical assistance. I went today and was denied. So the minimal services that I thought we would have covered are not covered. Social services denied us too, due to income. Everything was denied due to income. We tried Pathfinders, we tried the Autism Society, we tried Autism Speaks, and they were helpful in giving us resources, but it didn't get us anywhere. I found out that we might be eligible for respite through DSS. However, we were using the old pediatrician at the time when we applied, And though they promised many times that they'd sent in the forms, they never did. And now, since so much time has passed, we're no longer eligible. I found one grant that might help us cover a few months of copays. I spent hours on the phone for interviews for the grant and a lot of time filling out the paperwork. However, the pediatrician needed to fill out forms too. After running around in circles with them for weeks, they thrice promised that they'd filled out and sent in the paperwork. However, we later found out they never did, and now we're no longer eligible. We can no longer afford to live in the home that we're renting because of these medical expenses, but we can't afford to move. My husband and I both have chronic illnesses and can't move things by ourselves. We have no friends or family to help, and we certainly have no funds to hire movers to pack and move us. And we have no down payment for a house or a deposit for an apartment. And because of Benji's autism, we need space for him to run around. Not a lot, but some. Otherwise, he'll hurt himself or us, but we have no other options. We've used our life savings trying to care for these children in the last year, and now it's gone. I don't know what to do. It's not like we have time to get a second job. We take off too much time from our first jobs in order to make sure the children have the care they need. And then we spend all the time before and after work caring for them and doing their therapies. And due to safety issues, both of us are needed. It's not like we're spending money frivolously. We can't even afford some therapy or sensory products that Benji needs. We went on one vacation in 6 years, which was financed by my parents. It was a complete disaster, ending in an ER visit for Benji. Stay tuned for details on that trip in a future episode. We don't go to many places other than fairs, which are relatively inexpensive. We almost never eat out. We don't buy expensive food. We buy clothes at Goodwill or thrift stores, and rarely buy any anyway. I get my hair cut at Hair Cuttery twice a year. Even though I worked so hard to give my kids a good life and went to school forever for it, I can't afford to give them anywhere close to the life I wanted to give them. We may never afford a vacation, and we probably will never afford to buy a house. When our 14-year-old and 12-year-old cars go, we're screwed, let alone even contemplating contributing to a college fund. And then to be told with all of this, we aren't eligible for any assistance to help our children with special needs, not even for respite, which we desperately need. We've had 3 dates in as many years. I barely get to spend any time with my husband anymore. We haven't celebrated our anniversary since Benji was born, 2 years after we got married. And don't even get me started on the autism waiver. Everyone keeps saying that will solve all our problems. Well, in the state in which we live, there's an 8-year waiting list. So it's nice to know that when Benji's 11, we might be in better shape, but that's 8 years from now. People have said we should homeschool. It takes 4 adults to be in the home with us at night to keep both children safe. How would one person homeschool both children? It's not safe. So I'm stuck, guys. I don't know what to do. I don't know how people do this. I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. There aren't any options for us. I've worked my whole life, and now I'm stuck. I just don't get the society. We already have it so hard. Women are expected to do most of the childcare, child rearing, and mental load of parenting. There's mom shaming, and everyone is all up in our business as long as they can make the decisions. We can't make any decisions for ourselves. We're shamed for nursing in public, but also shamed for formula feeding. We're shamed for everything we do regarding rearing our child, whether it's working and sending our children to school or staying home and caring for them. There's minimal, if any, maternity leave, and those of us who are lucky enough to get it usually get no pay. We just get the time, which isn't enough time anyway. Some of the European countries get up to 2 years of paid leave. We get nothing. We're shamed for not having children, but then we're shamed if we do have children and they have special needs. It's our fault, mothers especially. There's not enough adequate assistance to help those children. I'm going to write my councilman in the governor's office about this issue to see what they propose. Please feel free to do the same. This is a huge issue and one that's not getting any attention because no one wants to think about it. That being said, Lewis and I are going to push on. We're going to still look for resources. We're going to branch out, ask for help, keep applying for grants, and we'll be okay. We're going to find some way to make it somehow, some way. We're going to do this. It's going to be tough, but we're going to make it. Thanks everyone for listening to this rant. I felt it was really important to get this message out. Until next time, this is FUBAR, Surviving Parenthood with Special Needs Kids. Well, that's it for our show. To find out more about the show, please go to www.fubarpod.com. Check us out on Facebook with our FUBAR, Surviving Parenthood with Special Needs Kids group, and on Twitter at FUBARPod. If you like our show, please click on subscribe. And help us out by giving us 5 stars on iTunes or wherever you find our podcasts. And leave us a review so other like-minded parents can find out what you like about us and discover their community in which to survive and thrive. See you next time on FUBAR, Surviving Parenthood with Special Needs Kids.